All right, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Edie DeWeese. I was the person who spearheaded the Alonzo Allen archaeological dig in 2012 and 2013. Alonzo Allen was the founder of Allens Park, Colorado, and this is the fireplace that he built in 1864. So we knew some things about it. We knew that, well, I had heard that it had been built in 1864 and that it burned in 1894. So those were things I was thinking about when I started thinking about an archaeological dig. And I had grown up always reading National Geographic and knowing that people were doing digs all over the world. And it occurred to me, why can't we do one right here and see what we can find out? So I was fortunate enough to talk to somebody in Rocky Mountain National Park, which is our neighbor, and she hooked me up with the Front Range Archaeological Group and with someone from the University of Northern Colorado, and they helped me get it all settled and planned, and we got volunteers. And so the summer of 2012, I came out here with everybody and they just started digging. And the first thing off, we found ashes and cinders from when it had burned. So that was so wonderful to me, just to know that that part of the story was true. We couldn't really tell what the date was for that, but as we proceeded, we did figure out things that would help us with the date. One of the things was that the building had been built with square nails that were handmade. So we knew it had to be pretty early and easily around the Civil War era. And then, remarkably, we found a Civil War era button. It was a cuff button off of a Union soldier's winter coat. So that was probably the treasure at that point. Was definitely, we knew that the Civil War timeline was correct. And then later on, we did another dig in the front of the house because we were getting some metal pings there. And we found the entire tool cache that Alonzo Allen had buried at some point. He was mining and prospecting up here in this area of Allens Park, and he was also running cattle. So we think that he built this little cabin so he'd have a place to stay when he was doing those things. There are lots of prospector holes all over the hills behind me. And the tools, apparently, the miners would, they had to come in by pack horse, so they would bring in their tools, and at the end of the season, they would bury them in a place where they could find them again, so that they didn't have to take them out and bring them in. So apparently, one year he must have buried his tools and never came back for them. So my most exciting moment of the whole dig was when I got to be the one to lift the first pickaxe out of the hole that they were digging. It was just amazing. It's so exciting and such a connection to think that I was touching something he had touched and nobody else had even seen it for 150 years. So that part was really good. The people that I worked with were so wonderful, and I think everybody appreciated being up in the mountains in a pretty meadow instead of out in some hot, dry place. So that was kind of the story of it. We found in the fireplace, we found bones and nails that might have been from miners' hobnail boots. They were kind of little nails like that. We found the clay floor that he had put down, and we actually found some of the logs that had burned, and they were so charred that they haven't rotted in 150 years. They were still here, and you could still see the marks of them being cut. So there are lots of exciting things about it. I think our community really enjoyed it because people stopped in the whole time we were doing the dig and either volunteered to help or just asked questions to learn about it. And it gave us more of a sense of connection with the founder of our town. So about 10 years after that, I realized that this dig had been almost forgotten by everybody in town. And so I made a book that's called Digging Allens Park. And it's just about what we did on the archaeological dig. It's got some history about Alonzo Allen and his wife and how he got here in 1859 for the Colorado Gold Rush. And that has been really popular. I've sold lots and lots of those books, and they are still available from the Allens Park Wind, our little local newspaper, and some of the shops around town. So I would say this is one of the most exciting projects I've ever worked on. I'm so glad I had the idea. I'm so glad everybody wanted to play, because it's something that you just don't do by yourself, and you really need to have people who are trained and have the tools and the knowledge to do a good job and a reputable job. So as a result of all this, we are now on the state's inventory of historical places, which I think is a great accomplishment. Thanks so much.